everybody, we want to welcome you to this week's webinar, how keeping your stats can actually improve your game. We're brought to you by Medicus Golf and Kick-X Golf. We're here in Kansas City, Missouri at Tiffany Green's Golf Club. If you have any questions, just type them in the sidebar and we'll get to them at the end of the webinar. So, also, we're going to be going through a lot of stats here today. We're going to give you some averages of the best players in the world and some things you can do. At the end of this, if you would like to send us an email, send it to Evans, E-V-A-N-S, at medicusgolfschools.com, and we will send you back over copies of what we're talking about today, so it'll help you. So, Brenndan, what do you find when you're working with the students, the things that they are the least proficient at as far as keeping track of what they're doing?
Well, the main thing is just getting an idea. I mean, we all keep track of, it's pretty easy to keep track of fairways hit, greens in regulation, number of putts, that sort of thing. But I try to get my students, and you do the same thing, to look at it a little bit different as far as, well, how close are you hitting certain shots? Right. Because, you know, we've talked before about distance from the hole and putting and what the percentage of make is. So. Right. You know, if you're hitting a chip shot and you say, well, I constantly chip the ball within 10 feet of the hole, well, your percentage isn't that great to make that. We can get it more dialed into 2 feet or 3 feet. Right. So just having a student get an idea, how close am I actually hitting the ball, and is that giving me the best option to make that next putt? Right,
and the tour stat, when they're hitting shots into the green, it is called proximity to hole. Mm-hmm. So, but they're going to miss some greens as well. So the key is you have to be able to get it up and down. So an example today would be a player that's probably the most famous player in golf. Out of 17 attempts to get it up and down, he got it up and down 4 times. Yep. That resulted in a score of 83, and I think I could have won that one today. Okay, maybe been the only time, but
wish you had a $5 Nassau there.
Yeah, there you go. So we're going to give you some stuff. We're going to go percentage of birdies made from different yardages. We're going to go greens in regulation average from different yardages. We're going to give you the PGA Tour averages on fairways, greens, and up and downs. We're going to give you percentage of putts made from different lengths. And we're going to give you distance to hole.
Proximity.
Proximity to hole is what we call it. So why don't you start with the birdies? And we'll go through that.
Well, birdie average, in a lot of these stats that we're going to throw out, you know, just like the tournament you're watching, that people are watching on TV today, you know, they see a lot of the guys that, you know, are making a ton of birdies. Right. So everybody's perception is, man, these guys are making 10 birdies around. Right. Not always the case, you know, just like, you know, the former player you mentioned earlier had a pretty tough day. But if you think about percentage of birdies made from certain distances. So to give you an idea, when a PGA Tour player is about 30 yards from the green, on average, they're going to birdie the hole 50% of the time. Yeah. Okay. And then if you look at from 125 to 150 yards, then it goes to 20%. Yeah. So you can see the percentages really change there. And then from 175 to 200. About 10%, so 1 out of 10 on average. Right, and
it's like you said, when you're watching the tournament on TV or you're watching the event on TV, they're only showing the players that are basically having a pretty good day. Mm-hmm. So when they're making all those putts, that's because they're in the lead typically. Yes. Okay, they're not showing you, unless it's a particular player that used to be the #1 in the world, they typically wouldn't show you somebody that shot 83 that day.
Correct.
Okay,
exactly.
So, but under that microscope, they're going to show you a lot of that.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the greens in regulation. So again, tour averages from 100 yards or less, they're hitting 85% of the greens. Okay. At 125 to 150, they're hitting 70% of the greens. And from 175 to 200, they're hitting 55% of the greens. So, you know, as you're standing in the fairway and you have 160 yards, let's say, to the green, the best advice is always play towards the middle for the average player. Yes. Don't try to hit the corners. The very best players in the world only hit the green 65% of the time from that range. Yep. So if you're a 15, 20, 30 handicapper, your number is probably going to be closer to 25 to 30.
Yeah, tops. Yeah.
Tops. All right. So, and I'll go ahead with PGA average. So the average fairways hit is 60%. And granted, you have guys back in the days of when Fred Funk was playing the tour and Calvin Peete. I mean, Calvin Peete for a 30-year career averaged 82% of the greens over a 30-year career.
And I don't know if we'll ever see a number like that again.
No, I mean, that's
this day and
totally
age.
unheard of.
Yeah.
He led the tour in that category for 10 straight years.
Yeah.
So Calvin could hit it pretty straight. He didn't hit it really far, but he could hit it pretty straight. The average greens in regulation by the world's best players is 67%. So, and then their up and down percentage when they miss a green is 67%. So a good way to test yourself is to go out around the chipping green and just hit some different shots to different pin locations. Hit the shot, go up, read the putt, make a putt, you know, and see what your score would be.
Yes.
If you're 2-putting or 3-putting after your chip shot, you're either a really poor putter or your chipping didn't get it as close as you need to get.
Exactly. It kind of talks back again. Look at how close you are hitting the ball when you get next to the green.
Right. How about percentage of putts made? Go ahead.
Percentage of putts made. Now this is one where I know when I go over this with my students, they can't believe some of these percentages that I'm about to say. So, you know, less than 5 feet, you're looking at 98%. I mean, that's, you know, even
You mean it's not 100?
Yeah, I mean, even you and I feel pretty comfortable with that distance. So, but now here's when you go from 3 feet to 5 feet, now it's 94%, still a very high number.
Right.
But this is where it starts to really make people stop and think, because when you look at 5 feet to 10 feet, now it drops to 66%.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know, just over 6 out of 10 putts.
Right.
From 10 feet to 15 feet, again, it's going down low, 41%. From 15 to 20 feet, 28%. From 20 feet to 25 feet, 20%. Outside of 25 feet, 10%.
Right.
But again, you're seeing the guys on TV, and they're making putts left and right.
Yeah.
So these are averages we're talking about. So, you know, again, if you think about, well, my chipping's really good, and I constantly chip it to 7 feet. Well, you've probably only got a 66% chance of making that putt.
Right.
Where, let's say, if we can knock a couple feet off that and get it more to 3 or 4 feet, now your percentage is increased.
Right. It goes up almost 30%.
Yes. Now that's how you start saving strokes during the round.
Right. Well, it's just like today. I don't remember what player it was, but the player had like an 85-foot putt or whatever. Well, they made the putt. All right. Now the coverage wasn't following that player. But because they made an 85-foot putt, they showed it.
Mm-hmm.
So again, to the average person, I think, well, these guys make everything.
Yeah.
And they don't make everything.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now we're going to talk about proximity to hole, which is also distance to hole. So, you know, if a player, if one of the tour players has missed a green and they're in the fringe and they're chipping that shot, their average is 2 to 3 feet on that chip shot.
Yeah.
So now you got that 2 to 3 feet. That means they're going to make it 98% of the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say they're in a greenside bunker. All right, they typically hit it 7 to 8 feet. If they're in a greenside rough, again, depending on how thick it is, it's 5 to 7 feet. A 20 to 30 yard pitch shot, again, 5 to 7 feet. Now they have a 50 to 75 yard pitch shot. Okay, they're hitting it 6 to 12 feet, and from 75 to 100. They're hitting it 12 to 16 feet. So basically from 100 yards in, the average is they don't hit it outside of 16 feet.
Yeah.
Okay? Now bring that down to 75 yards or 70 yards. They typically hit it 12 feet and in.
Yeah.
All right, so again, when you go back to the average player, right, and they've got a 75-yard shot, they're going to make it 15% of the time. So
yeah, and that's why we, you know, we're so big on giving our students. We have such a very detailed short game test and handicap system that we give for wedges, chipping, pitching, and also putting, because we're able then to really pinpoint how many shots this particular player is leaving on the golf course when they go play around. And it's more times than not, it's a very big number.
it is, and the assessment we give actually gives them a short game handicap.
Mm-hmm.
So anything on the plus side, and we talked about this a few weeks ago, let's say you're a +8 in this short game assessment, and you are continually shooting 85. Well, your short game is a +8. All right, so if you take those 8 off of that, now you're at 77. So that means you still have work to do getting it to the short game part.
Yeah.
All right?
Exactly.
So that assessment will basically tell you where you need to work long game or short game.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm going to look up here and see if we have any questions. All right, so we have it's not a question, it's more of a comment, and it's from Airson. It says, bad combination, bad chipper and bad putter at the same time. So if you are a bad chipper and a bad putter, the first thing I would work on is your chipping.
Mm-hmm.
All right, because if you work on your putting, but you're still a bad chipper, you're still going to miss those putts.
Yeah.
Based on all these stats. So you learn a chipping technique, and there's a number of techniques out there. I mean, some players like to lean the handle way forward and hit a low checking shot, and depending on it, some players like to use the bounce more,
Yeah.
and you can use anything between the leading edge and the bounce. So you got leading edge, sole, and trailing edge, what we call it.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing to do is focus on your chipping stuff,
Yeah.
right? Which, by the way, sometime this year, KickX Golf Medicus will have a new chipping training aid, which I forgot to even tell you.
Surprise!
We had it at the show. Did a lot of thorough testing with it. People loved it. It'll be bringing out sometime probably second quarter. But you know, in the interim time, you can remember chipping. By our definition, is a shot that's no more than 3 feet off the green.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it gets more than that, you need to hit it more in the air, which is now more of a pitch shot.
Yes. Yeah.
And chipping, by definition for us, is the left wrist does not get cocked in the backswing. It stays, so it kind of just moves backwards and forwards, keeping this. It looks like a letter Y, keeping that letter Y in place.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're not looking to add any velocity by cocking the left wrist.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I think that's it. So once again, if you'd like to get a copy of everything we just talked about, shoot us an email, cevans@medicusgolfschools.com. I think that's all we got today. Super Bowl, we got a big Super Bowl party planned on Sunday. We're flying in a special guest from California, Miss Diana. She's, you'll get to meet her.
Nice.
She's coming in to attend our Super Bowl party. It'll be a lot of fun. I think she's bringing the dog, too.
Oh.
So anyway, we'll see you guys. Hope your team wins as long as it's Seattle. Bye.